Most people think cash sitting in a bank account is lazy money, but that idea can quietly destroy their financial life. They hear that cash loses value to inflation, so they feel pressure to invest every dollar, spend every dollar, or move every dollar into something that looks smarter. And yes, inflation is real. Cash does lose purchasing power over time. But there is another cost people rarely talk about, and that is the cost of having no buffer when life hits. A person with no cash is forced to make expensive decisions at the worst possible time. They put emergencies on credit cards. They sell investments when the market is down. They take bad loans because they need money today. They stay in bad jobs because one missed paycheck would break them. They accept bad deals because they have no time to wait. That is why cash is not just money. Cash is time. Cash is choice. Cash is protection against panic. The purpose of cash is not to make you rich. The purpose of cash is to keep one problem from becoming 5 problems. A broken car should not become credit card debt. A medical bill should not become a payday loan. A job loss should not become eviction. A delayed payment should not become overdraft fees. But when there is no buffer, every small surprise becomes a financial emergency, and every emergency creates a new monthly payment. Then the payment becomes part of the next month, and the next month gets tighter, and the person starts wondering why they work so hard but never get ahead. The answer is often simple. Their life has no shock absorber. Every dollar that comes in already has a job, but none of those jobs is protecting the future. This is why an emergency fund can feel boring but be one of the most powerful financial tools you will ever build. It does not impress anyone. It does not make you look successful. It does not give you a luxury feeling. It just sits there quietly, waiting to stop the next crisis from becoming debt. And because it is quiet, people underestimate it. They would rather chase a higher return, a new investment, a better card, a bigger opportunity, or something that feels more exciting. But if you do not have cash, even a good investment can become dangerous. Imagine putting every extra dollar into the market, then your car breaks down, your hours get cut, and rent is due. Now you have to sell at whatever price exists that day. You are no longer investing from strength, you are liquidating from pressure. That is a completely different position. Investing works best when your basic life is stable enough to leave the money alone. Without cash, you may have to interrupt your own future because your present has no protection. This is why the first layer of wealth is not a stock, a property, or a business. The first layer of wealth is breathing room. Breathing room means you can handle a normal problem without borrowing. It means you can wait a few weeks before making a decision. It means you can repair the car without destroying the budget. It means you can leave a toxic job with some dignity. It means you can say no when a deal is bad. That kind of power does not show up on social media, but it changes how life feels. Money stops being only a number and starts becoming a shield. The hard part is that building cash feels slow. At first, saving $50 may feel meaningless. Saving $100 may feel too small. Saving $500 may feel like nothing compared to rent, bills, debt, and everything else life throws at you. But the first goal is not to solve every problem. The first goal is to stop the bleeding. Even a small buffer changes behavior. If you have $500, a flat tire does not have to become a credit card balance. If you have $1,000, a small emergency does not have to become a payment plan. If you have 1 month of expenses, a delayed paycheck does not immediately become panic. If you have 3 to 6 months of expenses, your whole posture changes. You are not fearless, but you are not trapped in the same way. You have time to think. You have time to compare options. You have time to avoid desperate choices. And avoiding desperate choices is one of the most underrated ways people build wealth. Many financial disasters are not caused by one huge mistake. They are caused by normal problems hitting a person who has no margin. The problem itself may be ordinary, but the response becomes expensive because there is no cash. A $200 problem becomes a $1,000 problem after interest, fees, and stress. A short job gap becomes months of debt. A small repair becomes a loan. This is the hidden return of an emergency fund. It saves you from paying the panic premium. The panic premium is the extra cost you pay because you need the solution right now. Fast money is expensive money. Urgent loans are expensive loans. Last-minute decisions are expensive decisions. Cash gives you the ability to slow the moment down, and slowing the moment down can save more money than a slightly higher investment return. This does not mean you should keep all your money in cash forever. Too much cash can become a different problem. If you keep years of money sitting idle while prices rise, your purchasing power can shrink. But most people are not struggling because they have too much cash. They are struggling because they have none. They are trying to build wealth on top of a foundation that cracks every time life gets inconvenient. The right question is not, should I save or invest? The better question is, what layer am I building right now? If you have no emergency fund, the first layer is protection. If you have high interest debt, the next layer is removing the thing that drains you every month. If you have stable cash and controlled debt, then investing becomes much more powerful because you are not constantly pulling money back out. Order matters. A person who invests aggressively but borrows for every emergency is not as far ahead as they think. They may be earning returns in one place while leaking interest in another. They may look disciplined, but their system is fragile. Real financial strength is not just about chasing upside. It is also about reducing downside. It is about making sure one bad week does not undo 6 good months. This is why your emergency fund should be boring on purpose. It should not be in something that can drop 20% right when you need it. It should not be tied up in an account that takes days or weeks to access if the emergency is immediate. It should not depend on credit limits that can change. It should be simple, liquid, and separated from your daily spending. If it is too easy to spend, it stops being an emergency fund and becomes a backup entertainment account. Separation matters because temptation is real. When money sits in the same account as everyday spending, the brain starts treating it as available. A dinner here, a purchase there, a small upgrade, a weekend plan, and suddenly the emergency fund is gone before the emergency arrives. So give the money a clear identity. This is not extra money. This is not fun money. This is not money waiting to be spent. This is the wall between you and debt. That mindset makes the account easier to protect. The next question is how much you need. The honest answer depends on your life. If your job is stable, your expenses are low, and you have few dependents, 1 to 3 months may give you real breathing room. If your income is unstable, your household depends on you, your industry is risky, or your fixed expenses are high, 3 to 6 months may be more appropriate. Some people need even more because peace has value. The exact number matters less than the direction. Start with a starter buffer, then build 1 month, then build 3 months. Make it a system, not a dramatic event. Automate a small transfer if you can. Save before the money gets absorbed by the month. Use windfalls carefully. Tax refunds, bonuses, overtime, and side income can build the fund faster than ordinary monthly savings. And when you use the fund for a real emergency, do not feel like you failed. That is what the fund was for. The win is not that the account stayed untouched forever. The win is that life happened and you did not go into debt. After that, rebuild it. Quietly, steadily, without shame. The biggest mistake is treating an emergency fund as a finish line instead of a living part of your financial system. It will go up. It may go down. Your job is to keep restoring the wall. Another mistake is confusing emergencies with inconveniences. A real emergency threatens your income, health, housing, transportation, or basic stability. A sale is not an emergency. A vacation is not an emergency. A new phone because you are bored is not an emergency. A social event you did not plan for is not an emergency. If everything becomes an emergency, the fund will never survive. This does not mean you cannot enjoy life. It means enjoyment should have its own category. When the emergency fund pays for non-emergencies, it loses its purpose. The goal is not to make your life joyless. The goal is to stop joy from weakening your safety. There is a huge difference between spending from a plan and spending from the money that protects your rent. Once you understand this, cash starts to feel different. It no longer feels like money doing nothing. It feels like a silent employee whose job is to keep your life stable. It gives you the power to ignore bad advice. It lets you take smart risks instead of desperate risks. It helps you negotiate because you are not cornered. It gives your investments time to work because you are not forced to sell. It protects your credit score because bills do not immediately become missed payments. It protects your relationships because emergencies are less likely to turn into chaos. And maybe most importantly, it protects your nervous system. Being broke is not only a math problem, it is a stress problem. Constantly living one surprise away from disaster changes how you think. It makes every bill feel threatening. It makes every delay feel personal. It makes every decision smaller because fear takes over the room. Cash does not solve everything, but it lowers the temperature. It gives your brain space to make better choices. That is why wealthy people often value liquidity more than outsiders realize. They may own assets, businesses, stocks, and real estate, but they also understand the value of available money. Opportunity often appears when other people are forced to sell, rush, or panic. Cash lets you move when others cannot. At a basic level, it protects you. At a higher level, it positions you. But you cannot use cash for opportunity if you keep using it to clean up emergencies that could have been prepared for. So before you chase the next big financial move, ask a simple question. If something went wrong next week, would I have cash or would I have panic? If the answer is panic, your next financial move may not be exciting, but it is obvious. Build the buffer. Protect the first $1,000, then protect 1 month, then protect more. Do not let embarrassment stop you. Do not compare your emergency fund to someone else's investment portfolio. You are building the part of your life that keeps everything else standing. The truth is, cash will not make you rich by itself, but having no cash can keep you poor for a long time. It can turn small problems into debt. It can force bad decisions. It can interrupt investments. It can trap you in jobs, contracts, and relationships because you cannot afford a pause. That is why cash deserves more respect. It is not the final goal. It is the foundation that allows better goals to survive. The goal is not to hoard money forever. The goal is to build enough space between you and disaster that your future is not constantly being negotiated under pressure. Because when life gets hard, the person with cash has options. The person without cash has urgency, and urgency is where the most expensive decisions begin.